What's crack-a-lackin'? And today we're going to be going over my favorite running backs in every round. Essentially, these are my guys as we go round by round. I'm even going to include a UDFA. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get in. And let's be honest, do I really need to talk about Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs? I mean, the first round, my guy, running back, really the only running back I have a first round grade on is Bijan. And largely, the only other running back in my top 50 is Jahmyr Gibbs. So let's just go ahead and jump to the third round with Tyjae freaking Spears out of Tulane. I'm a huge fan. 5'11", 204. I've talked about him at length the last few months. He's a former 3-star recruit from the 2019 class, redshirt his freshman year. Played 3 games before suffering a season-ending ACL or tear and a meniscus injury in 2020. 2021, really only had 3 starts to his name that year, but did play in all the games. This year was the breakout year. Almost over 1,600 yards rushing, 19 tutties. He threw 2. He also had 2 other receiving touchdowns. I love this cat, man. Because legit, he accelerates, get to top speed exceptionally quickly. I love the start-stop ability. He's just very shifty, very good change direction in the open field. And he's got that dog in him. He does. He will not shy away from a contact. And he actually holds up pretty well in pass pro. But he won't shy away from contact. But something I like to see better, especially in the open field, is when he is going to initiate contact, not to slow down. He kind of like slows down and loads up the shoulder, and it's like, dude, just keep that momentum, keep that speed, and just ba, or develop a stiff arm. Perhaps could have more bulk. You kind of like 5'11", maybe like 210, be nice, but I don't think that's necessary. Moving on to the 4th round, this should come as no surprise, as I am a huge Sean Tucker mark. I love this cat, and he basically became a starter, exceptionally fast there at Syracuse after being a 3-star recruit. In 2021, he broke the single season rushing record, and then this season was kind of a letdown compared to the prior year, but I'm still a big fan, dude. 5'9", 207. Dude runs track, and you know it. This guy is fast. He's a one cut and go. That's essentially what he is. But he's got good lower body strength that he can run between the tackles and absorb contact. It's just when he gets into that open field, with he prefers to stay away than actually take on contact. He kind of avoids it. And on top of that, man, I don't know necessarily if it's like, okay, maybe his vision could be better. I don't really think that's the case. It's just when he can get a bit indecisive, and if he has to stretch a play to the sideline, it kind of runs into a dead end at that. And it's like, I probably should have cut upfield a little bit earlier, especially with them tree trunk thighs, because again, you could absorb contact early on. I don't mind that. Like legitimately, like a pinball, like do. That is Sean Tucker. Hasn't really showed much in the passing game. Not to say he doesn't have it. It's just we have not really seen it, and just lacks the creativity as a runner. That's kind of why he went from like a top 5 running back for me going into the season to now a 4th round. I think he's running back 10 officially for me. Now, my guy in the 5th round is Eric Gray out of Oklahoma. He just missed out on my top 15 when I did my past running back rankings, but legitimately a very, very big fan of Eric Gray. Kind of the big thing at Oklahoma was like, because this dude looked like he can stop on a dime. He looks so shifty. I like the change of direction. It looks like he accelerates pretty darn well. But like Oklahoma coaches were like, this is a guy that's a better football player than he is going to be a tester. So don't be surprised if he doesn't test exactly well, which I thought he tested moderately all right. Like if you go look at it, 4.62, not great, not fast, but like he looks so much faster than that. You do see though in the explosive drills, he did pretty darn well. 37.5 vert was pretty nice, but still, man, overall, like I am a huge fan. His father was actually a running back at Tennessee State back in 1987, and he ended up being Gray's running back coach in high school, which was really cool. Initially, Eric Gray enrolled at Tennessee. A lot of people forget this cat actually transferred. Made an instant impact where he ran for over 500 yards, 4 tutties as a freshman. And then in 2020, he played 9 games with only 5 starts. He was held out of the season finale because of an investigation of potential NCAA violations. Ended up being no biggie. But he decided to transfer after Tennessee removed or fired Coach Pruitt. So he transferred to Oklahoma in 2021, played a rotation role with Kennedy Brooks, a guy that kind of was my guy a year ago. But this year, man, played fabulous. Over almost 1,400 yards, 11 tutties. And like I say, man, he's just a smooth athlete. Even if it's like, okay, his top speed's not great, he is an exceptionally smooth athlete who has actually pretty darn good hands. A bit inconsistent as a pass blocker, but I don't think you really get it. Like, if you have him on the field for a passing down, put that man out on a route. Get him in the open field because legit, he's got moves. He's got skills. Going to the 6th round, my guy here is Christian Rodriguez. I know a lot of y'all be like, oh, where's Kenny McIntosh? I ended up picking Eric Gray over Kenny McIntosh. McIntosh broke my heart. But Chris Rodriguez, man, like low-key, he's one of probably the better power backs in this class. And I feel like he does get a little slept on, but it is also a really good running back class. Former 3-star recruit from the 2018 class, did track and field, played basketball, redshirted his freshman season, but ended up getting a role for him in 2020, and he was actually the team's leading rusher that year. Played in 13 games in 2021, but he did suffer a wrist injury during the season, which cost him a couple of games. And then this season, he was suspended for the first 4 games, which ended up being what was it initially? Driving with a suspended license. So he was suspended for the first 4 games, which you might be like, oh, only 900 yards. And it's like, well, he didn't play the first 4 games. And then he opted out of the bowl game. But he was pretty darn stellar, went on the field. Like 63 forced missed tackles this past season on 190 carries. Ain't nothing to scoff at. But the dude's a physical runner. Good low center of gravity, 5'11", 217. Absorbs contact fairly well. Good contact balance in general. If you go back to like 2021, 36% of his carries actually resulted in either a first down or a touchdown. Naturally plays with a good pad level. He plays low. Like I said, this cat is a better running back than people give him credit for. He's a guy that likes to churn through contact. Very, very much the north-south runner. Now, when it comes to that, he's just a guy that's not particularly explosive. Like you look at the test, and it wasn't like the explosive numbers, not bad. 33 vert, it's fine. Honestly, I was shocked that he ran a 4.52. If anything, I think that might be the bigger thing there. But he's not very creative. He's not going to be a guy that can make you miss. For all intents and purposes, if you're a team and you're like, we don't really have a power back role right now in our committee, this is the guy you want to add, man, because I think you could probably, I honestly think he goes 5th round probably, but currently 6th round grade on him. He kind of gets pushed down just because it's a really good running back class. And then at in the 7th round, I have Deneric Prince out of Tulsa, baby. Here, I'm just pulling up his stuff, but dude had a very good combine. If you weren't aware, he also missed the first 4 games of the season, also why his numbers were a little bit down, but still ended up going for 734 yards and 5 tutties. His forced missed tackles this past season, relatively solid. 30 on 127 carries, so not half bad. But the combine was a big for him. Like the broad ended up with 124 inches, which is in the upper percentile of 4.41. Doing that at 6'2", 216, so you kind of like the size there as well. And this dude is also an impressive athlete. He profiles his profile from the combine, just the size, the speed really seems like maybe a change of pace back in the NFL, and could really develop a prominent role in a committee. If you're a team that's like not willing to spend early on any of these run backs, I think he's a fabulous option. Like the Dolphins. Like you look at the Dolphins, and this was, I guess, prior to before they brought back like a Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. But even if they're looking for maybe another guy to kind of add into there, you really kind of don't want, the Dolphins only have 4 picks. Do you want to use one of those picks on a second or third rounder? No, then you're going to be looking at the 6th and 7th round because those are their other 2 picks, and you're probably going to look at a guy like Deneric Prince because, well, Mike McDaniels, he loves speed. Everyone knows. And you know what? This guy's actually got a decent pedigree, too. He was a former Texas A&M transfer, spent the first 2 years of his career at Texas A&M. So it's not like this guy's being... was just like kind of slept on, like a legitimate pedigree, former 3-star recruit. So yeah, don't sleep on him. And let's go ahead to my guy who is a UDFA at the run back position, Xavier Valladay, out of Arizona State. And I think I've only talked about him maybe a couple of times here on the channel. And I just want to make sure I talk about him at least one more time. Because he tested real well, 5'11", 204, tested well, 4.46, 40. A 40-inch vert. He did a 7-second 3-cone, which is actually in the upper percentile for running backs. So solid athlete, had a really good year at Arizona State this past year, almost had 1,200 yards, 16 tutties, also had 2 receiving touchdowns, almost 300 receiving yards as well. Former 2-star recruit from the 2017 class. He didn't start his career at Arizona State. He chose Wyoming over Purdue and ended up redshirting his freshman year. And then in 2018, he was used as a rotation, but kind of broke out in the finale there in 2018 and was basically kind of the starter from there on out at Wyoming, and basically set some records, or at least he ended up finishing second in career rushing yards behind, or at least for Wyoming, behind Brian Hill. And then he decided to transfer to Arizona State. And you know what? I love it. If you dominate lower competition, you move up, and then you go in and you dominate Power 5. I think that's pretty solid, man. Like, this dude plays with good burst, plays with good explosiveness, gets the top speed pretty fast. That top speed is pretty fast in and itself. Shows good full body strength on arm tackles, keeps the feet moving on initial contact. If you've been around the channel, you know me. I love a guy that keeps churning the feet through contact regardless of position. You love seeing that no quit in them. I think he has the ability to move piles, and he's got good experience catching the ball out of the backfield. Dude's just dangerous in space, and I think he's gonna be picked up. Actually, if he ends up getting drafted, it won't surprise me either. It's just, again, it's a very good running back class, so these guys get pushed down. However, he does kind of run with a bit of a high pad level, so you kind of want him to kind of like lower a bit, and honestly, put it on a little bit more weight wouldn't be too bad, and maybe like a 210 would not be too terrible. Might also help him because sometimes he does go down to initial contact. Like, he had 215 carries, yet only 44 forced missed tackles this year. But to be fair, like, this cat, like, he would turn it upfield and it would be nothing but daylight for him. So a lot of times it was like maybe a move and go, and then, okay, cool. Don't need to force a missed tackle if all I see is daylight. Maybe just make one one tackle miss. But fumbles were a problem for him this year, but they were an issue for him in 2021. So just something to take note of. And just really, if anything, it's more so something just worth noting. Probably ends up being a big nothing burger, but I really wanted to mention Valladay at least one last time here. But that's it for the video. I'm gonna go ahead and do corners. I don't know if I'm gonna do it tomorrow or Sunday. I'm gonna see how this video does. Remember, support the video if you want to see more of this content. My goal is to basically give you as many names as possible going into the draft, so when your team walks away with their draft class, you're like, I know every one of those players, and maybe even know some of their UDFAs. So until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.